Hello and welcome to Four Beers In. I am Brendan.
I am Matt.
Tammy.
All right, and Marco couldn't make it because it's holiday season, and sometimes we have things going on, which actually kind of made us think of calling an audible. Because we're 4 beers in. Let's see if I can actually get the word audible out right the first time, and let's talk holiday seasons. And it made me kind of think about what traditions are out there. What did you guys do as a family growing up? Did you
Traditions?
did you have to have a certain meal for Christmas Eve or Christmas dinner or something like that? Or did you we at one point, so I remember my mom she was the artist or is the artist of the family, taught art and whatnot, has pottery studio, all sorts of stuff. So she was the one who told my dad where to hang the lights, put the Christmas tree, but not just that way, but
foreman.
she had design to it.
The architect.
But the thing is on Christmas Eve, it became a thing where we would kind of go around the house and we would light the lights, light the candles.
Everybody had roles.
There was even some piano playing at one point when we were really when we were kids.
Piano?
We all tried. I didn't do piano.
You pull it up on YouTube now.
I
They
did.
have a piano. I've never seen anyone play it.
Brett and Jeremy did the piano lessons and whatnot. I was drums.
You were drunk?
Yes. Yeah, probably most of it.
The oldest family tradition.
Yes, that is the one tradition that
The
I love
hot
the most.
toddy, the
and
Tom and Jerry,
it was
the
eggnog.
eggnog.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
In my family, it was the Tom and Jerry.
What's the Tom and Jerry?
I don't know. My grandpa made it, and he passed away before I was able to partake. So I don't really know.
Oh, are there can you investigate the situation?
Yeah. In fact, if it wasn't a COVID Christmas, I would totally
That Tom and Jerry.
pick up that baton for my grandpa, and I'd be the guy making the Tom and Jerry's. I know that it involved the stove.
Interesting. I wonder if there's some cider involved.
There was probably eggnog involved.
I would agree.
Heated
I
eggnog.
would think
Okay.
some kind of spices like cinnamon.
See, that's why I
That
thought
sounds familiar.
cider, because you can make cider
I
off
think
of a
hot toddy,
stove.
You gotta have to have.
You
with-
you have cider.
right.
Isn't there some cough syrup? Syrup?
Oh, cough syrup. With Jägermeister going there.
It depends on where you're from, right? I don't know. Eggnog was one of my first, and wine. My
What's
parents
the
had white
eggnog
wine
spice?
because
Nutmeg.
nutmeg.
Yep. I bet it has something with nutmeg.
Could be nutmeg, could be
Okay.
cinnamon. I don't know the difference, I don't think. And if I'm drinking it, it probably tastes the same to me. But
Nutmeg
again, I
is
never had a
less
Tom and
cinnamon.
Jerry. I never.
I'm gonna Google it. Tom and Jerry.
One thing we would do was clam chowder and chili on Christmas Eve.
Ooh.
And my uncle, Lon, R.I.P., and I, we had an informal kind of competition to see who could have the most Tabasco in their chili. And at the end, he would always win because I'd be dripping with sweat. I'd finish like a champ, but I would be dripping with sweat. I would cause myself a lot of pain as a child.
That's what
I
it's
couldn't
like
do that
when
as a grown man. There would be Christmas Day implications at this point. But Christmas Day was always prime rib and lobster, which
Yum.
I'm allergic to shellfish, so I'm
That's
excluded from
the
that.
lobster part.
And I'm mostly vegetarian and don't really care for beef. So
Oh,
I don't even enjoy the prime rib
See,
part.
like our breakfast. We were a huge breakfast
That's
holiday people.
kind of how we were too. How did it
Well,
go for
'cause-
you?
Huh?
Yeah, how did it go for you?
Well, at Christmas Eve was our. I don't know. I don't remember a traditional Christmas Eve dinner, but we would do more prep for Christmas Day. So you'd make the fruit salad, kind of like a Thanksgiving. You kind of prep stuff, but us kids were up at like 4 a.m. waiting for our parents just to say, "Go through the stockings, let us sleep a little while." So we didn't do that, but it was mostly like breads and like cinnamon rolls and
So
throughout the day nuts and
yeah, that's kind of how it was for us. And my
then
mom
we had a big dinner at the end of the day.
kind of the same way, and you've experienced it now for being with me for a bit. But my mom being a baker,
A baker and an artist.
Yeah, so
Your mom does a turkey dinner on Thanksgiving.
she does. So what she would do for Christmas dinner would be, I'm gonna put a ham in and not have to worry about it. But the thing is my mom would have, growing up, we would have these holiday brunches, and we would look forward to them because my mom would make over a dozen different types of breads, dessert bread, savory bread, like all sorts of. She'd make this massive spread that you'd have to put on a huge, big dining
What about
table.
sweet
Orange
breads?
bread is delicious.
Yes.
Aren't sweetbreads meat? Isn't that one of
Oh,
those?
not those
weird
kind of
Wasn't
breads.
that-
Not that.
Not that
Not
kind.
brains.
That was like that weird
Yeah.
English
Her
thing.
orange
Yeah, yeah,
bread
yeah,
is my
yeah.
favorite.
No, not that kind of.
You said brains. What is sweetbreads?
It's brain, isn't it?
Brain of what? A cow?
Calf or something.
All I know is the old
Yeah,
joke that a
I
sweet
don't
bread
know.
ain't bread.
Somebody will call me out somewhere. Yeah, exactly. You're
Her
right.
sweet breads were. But
But-
our biggest was orange.
Yeah, the cranberry orange bread is absolutely my favorite. And it's just what it is. It's cranberry and orange. And she's given us the recipe a half a dozen times. And have we ever tried to make it? Nope, not once, because my mom makes such a
We've moved
freaking
3
phenomenal
times.
version.
You can't show up, mom.
And it's not even an attempt. It's just
Does she still make it?
Yes. And she sends me home with a whole
Every
loaf
year.
every
Although
year.
this is going to be our first year we're not going to have Christmas with them.
So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get my gift basket
need
of
our bread.
It's on the porch. Pick it up on
Yes,
the 24th.
Your
exactly.
porch or ours.
Yeah.
And part of that was kind of one in this wasn't like a Christmas Eve or Christmas Day kind of thing. It was a holiday thing. So my parents, sometimes they would schedule this brunch to be after Christmas, and it would be before that we would go back to school. So it could be like January 1st, like on college football day, because they would also invite, my mom would make so much bread that they would invite their friends or neighborhood friends or parents of our friends, because we were your kids' age at this point. So
Yeah,
we're still playing
yeah.
with neighborhood friends, before we all start to go our own separate ways based on our social cliques. And our
Before the
parents,
fabric of family just dissolved completely.
and our parents tolerated each other, and there weren't feuds because you tried to date the neighbor girl.
Kind of interrupted that.
But yeah, 2020 is a whole different ballpark. And so there was always a lot of bread on there, and that was one of the things that I look forward to, because that's what said holiday to me. That and the steak,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Christmas Eve,
We have Christmas Eve here and we have a steak.
and that was kind of like, yeah, because it's you don't always. I mean, we didn't get fillets or steaks every day or every week or anything like that, even if you could afford it or wanted to. So it always had that tradition. So it held up even now, 40 some years later. It still holds up. The steak on Christmas Eve is pretty awesome. We used to also open up one gift on Christmas Eve, and that gift had to be from my dad's mom, so my grandma. And it was always a nice outfit. She laughs because
Well, we had a great aunt that did that to us.
she
So I love that because it's how rare is it that one family to another has the same tradition.
and it's because that family member doesn't want to see Christmas photos of you in jammies.
Or
So-
it's just they're great aunts that knit you shit, and it's like, yay, a present, but
Right.
it's not. I got my CD
For
or stereo.
my grandma, it was that, like, my parents had to go out and get a nice outfit for us to open up presents in, and she paid for it. So she sent money every year for each of us to have nice outfits that we would open up on Christmas Eve and have to come down the stairs all posing, looking and waiting for our
See,
stocking
my aunts
gifts.
would have the same thing, but it was a scarf or a hat they knitted.
Well, I would have done a hat or a scarf
Right.
way
No,
better than
I
an
think
outfit.
Your family did that too, but as generations age, it became into more bought presents, and that's what I love about your family. You have that same tradition. And
Although
it's the
everybody's out of it now. Like, everyone's
No,
aged
your mom
out.
carries it out.
That's true. She's giving you some
Yep.
earrings and
Yep, your mom has carried that tradition out, as in the night before Christmas. Not so much for me. It's between you and your brothers. You always all three of you have an outfit for Christmas.
Still?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not me, and I'm okay with that because it's not. I married into not so much married into
But-
it. It's your tradition.
She's given her a pair of earrings while I've gotten a pair of pajama pants, which is weird because now I can get the pajama pants. At 40 years old,
Although
I get the
did
pajama
steal
pants.
his last pajama pants, but in my defense, they were women's.
They were.
His
They
mom
absolutely.
bought the wrong pair. Brendan put them on.
Wait, what's the difference? Just the
The-
no fly?
the way
They
the hips were
fit
shaped.
different.
Oh.
And then I looked at the
I think I
tag,
could wear women's as
and
long
they
as
were
she's
totally
6'1".
women's. I'm like, I'm so sorry,
I can
honey,
fit
but
them. I can still
gotcha.
wear them, but they curve around her much better than
Oh,
they
Do
do.
they
me.
do they like fall down as you sleep or
No, it's more
Do
of
they-
a.
Oh, he couldn't even pull them. He would look. Did you ever see the movie? I love the movie Hot Chick, and it's my probably
Oh my
guilty
god, yes,
pleasure.
but I don't remember much about it.
Well, it's almost like the Hot Chick. Like he literally put on these pants, and they wouldn't fit him.
So they were too,
Too
narrow
short.
in the hip?
I don't know if my
Oh, too
torso
short.
is that short, but
No, it wasn't short.
He
They
looked
were.
like a plumber in
it's
'em.
my thighs.
no, it's not your thighs. 'cause
Okay,
I've
I'm
got
just going to be a
thighs.
Well,
chauvinist
that's
and say
true.
that
I have bigger
traditionally
thighs than
Yeah, it's
you.
more hips.
traditionally women
Yeah.
biologically have wider hips.
Oh no, I don't have wide hips. Weirdly, but I have wide thighs.
But they're not Tammy size pants, they're women's pants. So
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
saying
true.
if you're going to make a general woman's pant, it's going to be wider in the hip maybe, thinner in the waist. That would
Yeah.
still fit a dude, right? A skinny dude.
They went on weird.
They
I
were
understand
women's.
that.
I can
But you're
wear
just-
them,
Women's.
but
I
That's all I know.
I understand.
And I get what Matt's
No,
saying, but these
I'm
were
saying
women
these
pants.
aren't your going out pants. These are your sleeping in bed pants. I'm wondering what's
they
the
were a
big
little
deal.
tight
pull
on the
up.
waist.
It would go to his waist.
Okay, because I've got some big and tall pants that will literally work their way down to my ankles
They
while
went
I
up
sleep.
and not all the way.
Yeah, they went on weird. They were a little tight around the waist for me
Okay,
in general.
if
But
you can't sleep in them,
Weirdly,
that's
I
all I
know
need.
that
to
I
know.
have bigger legs and
and
a
you
smaller
could
waist.
you could tell the way they were stitched. Just like these
Oh, they
were.
well, you look at the tag; they're women's.
Yeah, and then you look at the tag and you're like, Mom.
Well, my first thought was,
But
of
I
cour-
loved it because I never get them, and I'm always jealous every year. I'm like, you guys get the best
That's
PJ
true.
pants.
She's like, I
and
get
then he put
earrings.
them on. I'm like, I got them. They weren't to me, but they're mine.
they weren't to me. They were
They
for
they
me.
weren't gifted
They
for
were
her.
for
but,
him, but they fit me.
So you're unofficially initiated into
Oh,
the
they're in my
family
drawer,
finally.
and I wear them all the time.
Does your mom know that she
Nope.
bought the?
no.
Not once.
Oh, you should totally
Nope.
tell her.
No.
She
This is how I'll tell
she
her.
accidentally-
I'll cut this clip out and just send it to
Tell
her.
her she accidentally invited Tammy into the family officially,
That's true.
and
I'm
she's going to
in.
be like,
I'm
"Damn
in.
it, not Tammy!"
You got 4 PJs
We had-
to buy every year now.
Now she's going to expect a gift
This
in
is the perfect
2020.
timing. She's got 3 weeks.
Grr.
3 weeks. Where's mine?
I want my PJs and socks in my stocking. And it took how many years for you to get your
Oh, I got
stocking?
socks. I'm on the socks.
You're on the
sock
sock
list.
train. So that's the open door.
We're starting with the feet and working our way up. When you get that hat, that Scrooge
That's it.
sleeping cap,
You know you're all the way in now when
Yeah,
you get the
that's it.
sleeping cap.
it's like being a made man in the mafia. Like you're in forever.
Top hat. It's
My
like Monopoly. You can't get the top hat.
So
my grandma worked part time at J.C. Penney
ooh,
as a kid, so you always got a sweatsuit for my grandma. It
like a
either-
tracksuit, like
yeah.
full on, like pants, coat,
Yeah.
zippy.
Yeah, you would never wear it other than to bed. But it was either going to be blue or green, and every year,
Wow, blue
me
or
and all my
green.
cousins were going to get a tracksuit.
Was it all the same color? Or did she just like
No, it would
5
match.
and 5?
You'd be solid blue from top to bottom.
Oh,
You'd be a Smurf or you'd be green. That's all I remember is a blue one and a green
Smurf
one.
or Swamp Thing?
And
You
my
look forward to it, right?
like you knew when we would do the thing where you would sit
When
in a
you get the
circle,
box?
and then somebody would be Santa. One of my uncles would be Santa. They'd pick up a present, and whoever got called, sit in
Okay,
the
so
middle.
Christmas morning was a big deal.
This
Like,
was
you
my
had
family
everybody.
Christmas
It
day.
was like
Christmas
Story
morning.
where they got their outfit. His
Christmas
ears.
morning in my house was different, but the family Christmas in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, the whole family would sit in a big circle, and one of my uncles would pick a present, and that person would take the hot seat, we called it, and then everyone would watch you open the present, and every kid knew that grandma's present was coming, and we knew what it was before it was opened. It was always, what color is the tracksuit going to be?
Oh
Does it
man,
have stripes? Does it not have stripes?
what color?
It was the employee discounted tracksuit from JCPenney. And I still will wander JCPenney Westminster and think of my grandma, and she worked at that one, and that's the one that still exists from that entire mall.
Holy
No
crap!
way.
And it's such a special place for me. So
The only
Ay,
JCPenney's
ay,
I
ay.
ever go to.
I remember that store too.
it's the only thing of the
I
West.
take you to the one
because it was in shots of the balloons too.
the balloons.
Oh, it might have been near the balloons.
I think so.
But it's the only department store. It's the only anchor store that survived the demolition of the mall.
It was also the biggest though.
That's
Yeah.
like our mall in our tiny town. When we ever go back to New York, we're not going this year because of COVID, and we missed out Thanksgiving because that was our plan. But we go to JCPenney's because it's like the Kohl's or Dick's, and granted, we have that in our little tiny town too. We can get Buffalo Bills or Sabre gear. So whenever we go, as Brendan's wearing Bills, which is so awesome.
I get all my jeans from JCPenney.
Exactly. Like we go there, and that's like that's the only
Yep.
time I ever go to JCPenney's is when I go to Batavia, New York, right outside of Buffalo.
Well, if you need something in housewares, check out the Westminster one. Save my grandma's legacy. Because it's the only thing of her that exists for me
I've
anymore.
only been to the JCPenney's in Buffalo.
Oh man, no, that I've been to that JCPenney that he's talking
Or
about,
Batavia.
and who knows, maybe even cross paths with old Grandma Bell.
Grandma McDermott.
Okay, the other
Knoyer,
one,
But
the other
McDermott was
Scottish
made
name,
Irish.
McDermott?
The McDermotts were Irish.
Wow.
Yes, they
I
came
just hear
directly from
Mick and-
Ireland. Ireland.
Yeah.
We're Irish.
But her
we
married
have to
name was
go there.
Knoyer. So my grandma and grandpa were the Knoyers. Her maiden name would have been McDermott.
We kind of had the same thing where
I have no
someone
Scottish.
would pass around, going back to the gifts on
Yeah.
on the morning. So we never really so my family, my mom and dad both moved far away from their families. So we didn't have uncles, cousins, that kind of
We were
stuff.
the opposite. We were very centralized.
Only
The boomers were very family centric.
Oh man.
Not so much the Gen Xers.
Yeah, both my parents were wild cards in their family. Like when you look at it, and Tam's known my family, and kind of starting. My mom's family is very complex, and they're very
The majority of your mom's family still.
they're
in
borderline
Detroit,
Dutch
Michigan area.
Catholic.
Or maybe not Detroit, Rapids.
and they
Kalamazoo?
don't get out of Michigan unless it's snowbirds.
Definitely that area. You got Kalamazoo, Rapids.
Traverse City, Grand Rapids, like
Right.
all along Lake Michigan,
It's
and
mostly your mama.
it's all that family. And my mom is the only one who packed up and put roots down outside of Michigan.
Wonder for family though.
Only one. So having Christmas with them never happened. Ever. Whereas my dad's family, they all kind of scattered, but most of them scattered to Texas, whereas dad went to Colorado. So a couple
Dan
times
Fogelberg.
we were lucky enough to have a Texas Christmas. I remember two of them.
What part of Texas?
Dallas.
Okay. The only part I want to go to.
It was.
Austin, I suppose.
I was really young.
Everyone talks about Austin these days.
It was before my brothers, which might have been a cost situation.
Kids are expensive
Um,
and ungrateful and shitty travel companions.
Exactly. I
Appreciate.
probably was part of the problem. But either way, I don't remember big family gatherings. But we used to have, and it would rotate. And my parents didn't keep tabs of this, but they tried. It was either the youngest went first, or the youngest would pick out the presents and
Be
set them
Santa.
aside.
Yeah, we used to call it being Santa.
Or it would be the oldest, which was I was the oldest and Jeremy was the youngest. And occasionally they would remember to throw my middle brother in there and let him go first. He usually ended up becoming middle always. But that we tried, And it was nice because we had our certain gifts from certain people. We knew what was what. Like, you'd get a $25, $50 gift certificate or check from your uncle or whatever. Or that was the envelope in the tree or the certain wrapping paper because one grandma was very thrifty and used the same wrapping paper every year. So you kind of knew certain things. And exactly, my mom picked that up and carried that on. So now we see certain presents that we've seen for 10 years. It's almost like,
I'm
man,
afraid to rip it open.
it almost fits the same size box. Did you keep the box too? Like, not only did you keep the wrapping paper, but did you keep the freaking cardboard box? Because it's almost the same size, same present.
what?
It's more about
Respect to your mom because
after 40 years, you start guessing, well, what is it this time?
Bunny pajamas. I was thinking of Aunt Clara from
But when
Christmas
you're
Story.
ripping the paper
Oh, she
off,
always
like
sends
my
the
dad
sweetest presents.
We'll carry a paper bag and we all put it in a bag. And I don't know if he recycles or what he does, but your mom is like, no, tear it lightly because we can reuse that paper next year.
That's efficiency. I
Which
appreciate
is
that.
right.
Happy
That's
Hanukkah,
exactly.
by the way,
And
to all those listening.
Oh, that too. My parents will keep boxes too, like yours.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That too. Hanukkah.
Tim's like, I'm on a mission. Anyway,
Well, it
tell your
doesn't matter
story.
what religion you are. Opening wrappers is protecting the environment.
Hey,
So,
I
like,
honestly, I was jealous. I had a friend of mine in junior high who, that was my first experience with Hanukkah. And he came to school every day with his new gift from the night before. And it wasn't until like, I think day 7 where I was kind of like, dude, I'm not impressed, and I feel bad.
is that soy wax?
I was like, I remember feeling bad. Like, I remember, like, I just judged my Christmas day to like, he's gone 6 days in now, and he hasn't really gotten anything good.
It reminds me of Adam Sandler.
It was like
8 crazy nights.
yes,
Eight.
yeah,
8.
yeah.
8 crazy nights.
So I just remember thinking it was a handful of days in. Like, he had 2 more days because his whole thing was, if I don't get my Game Boy, because he wanted a Game Boy. And he'd opened all his, like, he was 2 nights away and he still hadn't got, and I'm like, dude, you're going to get your Game Boy, man. Because, I mean, you saved the best for last, right? Like, last Christmas, for me, it was a skateboard. I got my skateboard,
You also got a door.
but, oh, yeah, there was one Christmas
Right.
I actually lost out on all my presents because I
Not
had to pay for a
everybody
new
gets their
door.
wishes.
Because Brendan the bastard.
Because I slammed the door so many times it broke off the handle and I didn't have a door in my bedroom anymore. And I had punched it a handful of times. So not only did it no longer fit on
I've
the door
heard that
frame,
story, I think,
But,
100
yeah.
times. I'm like,
The bastard.
the troublesome little kid. Anyway, but I just remember thinking,
Can you meet my stepdad? So he thinks I'm not so bad.
just tell him to listen to this podcast. Usually there's a bastard Brendan story in there somewhere. We haven't made it an official segment, but it somehow comes up.
It's organically coming up. Anything involving your teenage years.
Yes.
You were such a
If
bastard.
memories are involved, which somehow beer and alcohol make that happen, the bastard
you
Brendan
just have
stories
your
come out.
dad validate. And the sad thing is,
That's
he
true.
really would.
I would love to get your dad on the show.
Me too.
And your mom, too.
No
No
your
holds
mom would
barred.
have to be soccer.
Oh man, that would honestly.
referee.
She can be on
If
footy
you
with
got-
Lucifer.
If you got
your
my parents
mom.
on this show, that would probably be the least you'd hear from me because they would just totally find the most embarrassing stories they could. Like they would tell the one about when I was trying to paint my neighbor's house with a hammer or their sidewalk.
What a bastard.
And yeah, there's all sorts of stories that,
Try to slam the paint.
well, I just used the hammerhead as
In
the
the
paintbrush.
molecules, damn you.
I don't know. There are certain stories they seem to think are super like embarrassing to me that I've heard them tell so many times over the years that they're not. I think what I would like to do at some point is probably get them on an episode where they hear stories about me they haven't heard.
That's
And I
all my
wouldn't
stories
mind
from my mom.
it.
Like, my mom, she wasn't necessarily around that much for my bastard years. And the thing she was around for, she doesn't talk about. So I think, and my brother too, we can tell her stories that she wouldn't believe. That she would probably be upset she missed out on, like in a funny way now because we're all alive and not
Maybe
in jail.
that should be this topic for the next
what
one.
our parents don't know.
Yeah, things our parents
Confessions-
don't know.
Confessions to mom.
Alcohol
would be a great
Or
confessions.
later they known.
Yeah.
But going back to Hanukkah, I remember Lewis Black in one of his big early 2000s specials.
I love him.
He talked about how his friends would be jealous that he got 8 presents a night, but he was like, but I got shit like calendars and erasers. It was a back-to-school holiday. And that's kind of also where I learned that Hanukkah is not even a major holiday in the Jewish religion. It's Passover is their biggest one.
Right.
But Hanukkah is kind of a moderate, like it.
I would have thought that
we
would
tend
play.
to equate it with Christmas, but in the Christian culture, which if we're not practicing, we are in that culture in this country, it's like the biggest holiday. And we tend to assume a Hanukkah is as gravitas as that, but it's
Do you
not.
think we do that to make ourselves feel better?
Oh, I know.
about-
I think it's all capitalism.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, 100%. But I like Christmas. It's nice.
But what I think what I can't even really complain. I was gonna, and I wanted to try to find a route to, but when I was working hospitality at Universal, and I did it at Disney too, both over the holidays, and they treat the holidays differently. Both parks do, and it's interesting because it's all down to founders' philosophy, really. It's very classical and very. I mean that theme that Walt Disney set in the 50s, early 60s, and whatnot is still there. And where you go over to Universal and you're hearing like Britney Spears and shit like that in their Christmas tracks that are just replaying over and over and over again all freaking day at the parks. So it was one spectrum to the other. But weirdly, after working it for a couple years, it became part of my history and how I viewed holidays for a while. It wasn't the same without the peppermint mocha from Starbucks that came around the corner from New York Avenue at Universal while listening to Frank Sinatra and Britney Spears.
Together at last?
Not together, but that's how they played it. You'd hear New York, New York, even though, how is that a Christmas song?
It's not. I've
But
heard it.
it was a part of the playlist,
I think
and then
Mafia,
it was followed.
The Mafia probably
Yeah.
forced that one in.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where that, and I always joked, whoever made the playlist was pretty
Jewish?
bad.
Oh, okay,
no, not
okay.
Jewish.
I thought you were going a different direction with that.
I probably could have gone Jewish with that direction, but
There's a great Chinese place on 42nd
yeah.
and 3rd.
At 23, I was more that arrogant guy, like I can make a better Christmas list. Because I
Wow.
sure as shit felt like
so
I
did
could.
so
Like,
said Neil Diamond, and he's Jewish. And you know what? When I found out Neil Diamond was Jewish, having grown up my entire life with a Neil Diamond
Christmas
obsessed
album?
mother,
oh,
who Neil Diamond was constantly playing. Oh yeah.
oops.
It goes
shit.
way back to my friend saying there's two kinds of people in their 40s, those who were raised on the Beatles and those who were raised on Neil Diamond. And he and I are diametrically opposed, but I'm the Neil Diamond one. Neil Diamond was the soundtrack to my Christmases, and when I found out at probably 22 that he was Jewish, I legitimately thought, good for you, Neil Diamond. Get all the money you can get, because I love Neil Diamond because of my upbringing, because he was constantly a theme to my
Dude.
life. But when I found out that a Jewish man has like the ultimate Christmas album, it's like, I was just like, literally, no hate, no sarcasm. Good for you.
I don't know if this helps your theory, though. So, I grew up a Neil Diamond guy,
Uh-huh.
not Beatles.
No, my friend was
Like,
Beatles.
I
I was
mean,
Neil Diamond.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think to help your theory or not help your theory. I too fall into that category, and my mom was absolutely Neil Diamond. In fact, I think might be some vinyl right over there that will help verify that.
Oh, I've got a Neil Diamond playlist ready to go at any
everything
time.
you just said, I have to agree with because I'm like, I'm Neil Diamond too.
But the fact
we
that
have to grill
yeah,
Tammy.
the fact that he capitalized on a Christmas album, at no point in my thinking did I ever think he in any way betrayed any kind of philosophy. I just thought, good for you, Neil Diamond. You were a very special part of 2 holidays, I'm sure. And God bless the man for so far being a pretty squeaky clean individual who has not been Me Too'd or anything horrible come out about him that I'm aware of. And I
Knock
hope
on
that it
wood.
continues that way because he's a lovely individual who deserves all the success he's got. Tammy,
Including
were you,
Saving Silverman.
especially, were you a Beatles kid or a Neil Diamond kid, Tammy?
I was actually neither.
Okay.
I mean, they each
When I
had their
when I say
certain
Neil Diamond,
songs that would
when I say Neil
promote-
Diamond, what comes to mind immediately? Neil Diamond.
Yeah, wordplay. Let's do some word association.
Well, I think
Neil Diamond. Saving Silverman.
And when I say the Beatles,
Oh, Hey Jude.
which was a okay. I
Which
think you're
was
a
a little
Beatles
bit
kid.
of
Well, I
revenge on
think you're
how
a
I was
Beatles
gonna-
kid.
I love.
I think you're a Beatles kid because Saving Silverman only came out in 2001. So, as a kid, you were definitely Hey Jude.
Yeah, because you throw Billy Idol in that mix a little bit.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Billy Idol is the third. Spoke in that
if
wheel.
You go certain by like songs at like a party, and you're like kind of.
When I say Billy Idol, what do you think about?
oh, money.
See, for me, it's still the Wedding Singer.
Aha.
He played himself in the Wedding Singer,
Yeah.
and it was just awesome. Last Adam Sandler movie I ever enjoyed.
Grown Ups wasn't too bad.
I didn't see it.
Neil
Okay.
Diamond is one of those that I think generations are gonna know because there's certain songs.
I think I can.
But
I think I just realized that I can officially count him as a tradition in my family. My mom and my aunt, that was their cheat guy, you know.
Oh,
They
they're,
were
they're
allowed to
like hall
cheat.
pass kind of thing?
Yeah, that was their hall pass. My mom was allowed to cheat on my dad with Neil Diamond. My dad was allowed to cheat on my mom with Carly Simon.
Carly Simon.
Both musicians.
All right. Well,
Hey,
I
he
guess,
loved
do
Carly
we
Simon.
all have that? We have. You said
I have a long-standing relationship with.
Christina Ricci is yours, who's not a musician, so that's void.
I have a very long-standing relationship with Jennifer Aniston that she has yet to learn about.
Right.
That's
She's an actress,
awesome.
She
too.
has been
She's
my
void.
go-
We're talking musicians.
She has
mine's
been-
Eddie Vedder, so mine's only valid.
If she wants to hum in
Wait,
the shower,
you said musicians. Christina Ricci is not a musician.
if Jennifer
Eddie
Aniston,
Vedder's a musician. Christina is not.
if Jennifer
Right, but
Aniston
if
wants
we
to
have-
hum in the shower,
Christina-
I'll allow
or
it.
Jennifer is not.
Right.
Either.
Are we totally
I'll
changing
make her.
topics?
I'll make
Yeah.
her sing. I'll make her sing for
I
sure.
like it.
But I've had a long-standing crush on Jennifer Aniston that has not dimmed since 7th grade.
She's
Thank you very
gorgeous.
much.
I can't even defend you.
Why would you need to? She's
I
perfect.
Can't. I can't.
She was
I don't know
perfect in
about perfect.
1993,
No
and
one's
she's perfect
perfect
now.
She's not ugly.
All right. First of all, no one's perfect, but
She's
But-
perfect.
no.
Jen Aniston
no
is
one's
perfect in
but
my
I
eyes.
do like her growth as an actress because she came from Friends and then she went into movies I didn't even see. There's one, and I love.
Oh my
Jason-
God, The Good Girl, fantastic
I
movie.
didn't see that one.
That's a good one.
But she's in one with
The
Jason
Breakup?
Bateman, who I wanted to see because something about a baby or they had a baby.
The Breakup was really good with Vince Vaughn. But
Oh,
the-
I didn't see that one
The
either. No,
Good Girl
that's
with Jake
fun. How did
Gyllenhaal
I
was
not
really
see all
good.
this? I saw Horrible Bosses. She's awesome.
As like the Maybelline girl, she was fantastic. She just
But
recently.
she still looks good for all these years. She's grown. And whether she's had, I know she's older, whether she's had surgery.
I don't think so.
You
This
can't
used to be
tell.
about-
You can't tell. because she's grown. I don't know. She's so pretty.
She is beautiful.
Yeah.
Flawless in my eyes. If I had to go with a singer, I need a minute on that. Go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
I don't know what we're talking about other than Jennifer.
Christmas.
Well, that was Hall Pass.
It
but
would
we
for-
were supposed
Oh,
to
Hall
go.
Pass.
Well, we were
Christmas.
Eddie
supposed
better
to,
for me and Christine Lucci for you.
but that's not Christina Ricci. You're making up names, and that's. I mean, I
No, we're going
probably
for
would upgrade that to
musicians.
something different.
I
but
thought we were musicians.
like
Oh my
Jess
God.
Glynn.
Shirley Manson.
Although she's not really a musician, she's a singer.
Shirley Manson is the only one that popped into my head.
Oh,
I don't know Shirley Manson. Who's yours?
Jess Glynn.
Who?
Jess Glynn.
Who's
Who's
that?
that?
Is she from a band or is that a name I should recognize?
It's just a UK singer from England.
What's her biggest song?
She did a song with Macklemore called "These Days."
Oh, she's
Sing
good.
it?
She's
Or
pretty.
I don't know.
She's also done a
Yep.
song called "I'll Be There." She's
Yeah.
not ugly.
No, she's not ugly.
Redhead.
Yep.
Well, Shirley
I'm not
Manson
a
is
redhead.
too.
I'm sorry.
But Shirley Manson has established
Yeah, Shirley Manson. I know
from
of,
Garbage.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's who. Yeah,
Lead singer
she's
of
cute.
Garbage. And I had a
Aw,
poster of her
you
up on
both
my
are
wall.
redheads. I'm not redhead. I can't do it.
Well, I'm not specifically a redhead
He
fan
is, and I'm
either.
not.
But Shirley Manson is the only woman I've ever had a poster of in my apartment at the age of 19.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never. It was her and Bob Marley, and I've never had another poster
Oh, I
in
had
my
Duran
life.
Duran, Rick
So
Springfield. I
the
had
last
many young-
poster I had was Freddie Prinze Jr.'s.
But he
wife.
loves redheads, which
What's
I
her
don't
face?
like. I'm not a redhead. Never have been.
But if you dyed your hair red one day and just showed up at
Well,
home,
she won't do it, but yes, that would be.
Oh,
awesome.
you
I'm not
would.
saying I wouldn't.
no, that would be
We're
a
Irish.
great.
Did say you
I'm
would.
If you want a
Irish.
Christmas present for Brendan, I'm just saying, you show up on December 25th
Which is
with
so
red
funny because
hair.
I'm like, I'm so pale, but I guess that's Irish.
So are redheads. You can dot in some freckles or something. A little styptic pencil.
Oh, freckles aren't bad either, but I mean,
I'm just saying, Brendan, I've given you two great gift ideas
But
already.
I like dark
a
hair.
couple's
Where's
lap
that?
dance
that's
and dye your
fine.
hair
I'm
red.
Not opposed to.
Brendan's like, I'll dye my hair brown.
I don't
Do I
hair.
need to?
I don't disintegrate or just yeah.
I'm just saying, if us women have to alternate our hair color,
Which you
although
can.
men doesn't
I would. Well, it's
I'm-
my
do
job,
it
but
as well.
what should I? If a woman said, "Hey, you should be a redhead sometimes too," I'd.
You do
Okay.
it?
Depends on the woman, but sure. If I've never known a woman to have a thing for redheads, but
There's a few
If they
redheads
exist.
out there, but I would say
I don't think I'd make a
seekers.
good one.
I think this is unfortunate, and maybe, oh God, I'm gonna feel like an asshole, and I apologize to women, men, like all. I'll
Just
say it out
polite
there right
society in
now, but I'm
general.
gonna mostly apologize to men. I think women cultures of all cultures are beautiful. You can't tell
Wait,
me
say that again.
all.
We're ugly. Women are beautiful.
Yes.
Well, Elaine said that on Seinfeld, so that's not a new take.
Oh, damn it, Elaine.
Elaine
You beat
said,
me!
"No, Elaine said
What culture
the
can
male
you tell
body
me
is,
a woman's not beautiful.
you know, I can't name one,
Me either.
but I'm
men
a
struggle
heterosexual
with
male,
that.
so
Yep.
and I'm a heterosexual cis male, and I'm done apologizing for that, but that's what I am.
No apology.
I'm with you on that
It
one,
is
too.
what we are because
It
like,
is.
Like I said,
I can
Brendan,
find
you
beauty in-
do.
I
You're
can find
attracted
beauty
to
anywhere.
more, like he likes the fiery red, which I'll put red highlights in, but I don't go
Which
full
is
red.
fine. Like I'm okay with that.
Which
I'm not asking you to be either. I can't help what has been things that have attracted me in the past or kryptonite or however you want to put it. It's
well, it goes
it's
to
things that make you
anybody.
go, "Hey, Brady." It's you do that to me on a
That's
daily
what I just
basis.
said. It doesn't
doesn't
matter.
mean that
I
necessarily.
like. I like typically when I typically darker.
Typically,
typically.
women
Typically.
typically women are the ones who opt to change their hair color.
Humorous to me.
Are you saying that women would kind of like men to do that from time to time too? Maybe every couple of years?
I
Go
think it's-
blonde? I'd go
unfortunately,
blonde
I
for a
think
woman.
I'll never bleach my. Well, I mean, if she asked me to bleach my hair, I'd do it, and then she'd laugh at me and tell me to probably
No,
cut it.
I wouldn't laugh at you. You just have to do it. I think for any.
And she'd be like, "I'm sorry, it doesn't look good."
I think at
Yeah.
certain ages in our life, you
Exactly,
have
at
to
certain
make it
ages.
look a little bit more natural.
We're at that point where we're trying to get rid of the grays unless somehow it looks
I'm
good. in
no,
our
I'm
beard
too
or
busy
whatever.
telling women that gray is hot now.
I think gray is hot.
See? Silver
Especially
Fox,
on
that's
guys.
where I am.
You know where I actually learned that mostly is from your fucking TV show.
You're fucking a TV show. Which
What
one?
TV show is this one?
The car place, the little guy.
Oh, Richard Hammond.
Yes.
Wait, is he gray?
Oh, he's very
should
gray,
be.
but he
Is he
colors
sexy
doesn't
it.
gray?
show it. And I'm
Oh.
not saying you can't color the
This is what I'm
just
talking
for
about.
men. We can just for
It-
men.
His dye is so bad that that's what she's pointing at. Like, all right, he's got grays,
I think women
Is it
have
like-
done it for
but
so long.
there are certain episodes where all of a sudden he shows up, and it's like he's 30 years old, and we're like, homie,
When you see,
we just saw
really-
you an
yeah.
episode ago where you clearly were weeks late on your hair dye appointment.
Was he Giulianiing, dripping down?
No,
No,
we've
not that
never
bad.
seen.
I was gonna bring that up.
That was a whole new first. That's for sure. I don't think I've ever seen
that's
anyone
not.
else.
Hey Tammy, do
drip
you
their
believe
shit.
that a 70-some-year-old man is naturally brown-haired anyway? Like, was there any point to him dying?
Hey, if you like Cheers, Sam has never had hair, mostly.
Well, first
But
of
he
all,
could carry the fake
yeah, he
hair.
did, and in The Good Place, he went proudly gray, and he looked
And
even
white.
better.
That's true.
Yeah,
He's white, yes.
he's white now.
Steve Martin white, and Steve Martin, speaking of,
Yeah,
white,
he owned it
He was
early.
white at, like,
yeah, he
18.
was white in the 20s at least, and he
Hey,
has
we've
never,
almost come full circle. We almost can talk
And
about
that's
Santa
where-
Claus
well,
now.
that's a whole nother show because I feel men can carry gray hair better than women can. And
Damn
so
straight.
when some guys
He's probably
Just
try
like-
to hide
just like an
that,
extra 20
they
pounds.
make it look so bad, it looks bad. But in the guy's defense, it could be because it's something new where women have been dyeing their hair for years and years and years. So when men do it, it's like, I know they're gray. Where women been gray for years and dyed it. and
Who are
don't
you
get
dyeing
that.
your hair for? Is it for you, for Brendan, or for other women?
oh,
Seriously,
she does it for her.
for you.
Oh, totally.
When you highlight your hair, you're like, this is what I want for me, and it makes me happy.
Totally.
Okay.
And it's not even before I was gray. Like, I have brown and I have gold highlights. But I like purple and I like browns and dark hair. Like, so that's where we struggle because I like dark hair.
I'm not opposed
No.
to dark
It's
hair.
not so
She's
much,
just fixated on
no,
that I like
for
red hair.
me, I like darker on me. So I'll go darker. I've always done that before I met Brendan. I would go purple and dark and like reds. Like, it's not so much my age.
You
or
did
'cause of
reds
Brendan.
before you met Brendan, and now what?
Totally
You're taking a
before
stance,
Brendan.
and now you're just gonna like, oh, I know this is the one thing he likes, so I'm never gonna do it.
I don't think I look good in all red.
How do you think Brendan would think you look in all red?
I don't know. Are we therapy right now?
Yeah, kinda. We're 4 beers
Four
in.
beers in has
red
gone therapeutic, man.
Burgundy?
Isn't a bartender basically a therapist?
Right? And how many episodes of Cheers have we not watched? Oh man! And
I look good in brown. I don't need red.
no,
I have red highlights. It's red. You can't see it. You can't see it because I'm dark in that photo.
You look good no matter what. My Mrs. Claus. I was actually trying to get to the because we almost had white hair, and we kind of got around and we kind of talked about how we aren't really familiar with the Jewish holidays, so that means we've all kind of had our Santa episodes growing up. Is there one Santa gift that sticks out?
Oh, I was gonna ask the same question. That's a good one.
Really? Okay.
My first bicycle, it was an ET bicycle, probably in 1983 or 82. Yep, it had the training wheels and it had a faceplate on the handlebars with ET
Yes.
on it. Yeah, it
Oh.
didn't have the basket, but it had ET
I
on
can
it.
picture it as you're telling me about.
That's the bike where I learned how to ride a bike. So that was the best thing Santa ever gave me.
it. Okay, so I think the best thing Santa ever gave me might have been a skateboard. But the first thing that I remember, which I really had a blast on, and I feel like I used it until it popped, was a pogo ball.
I had a pogo ball. I had several
Yeah.
because they would pop. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
I was good at pogo ball.
It was so fun.
I was also good at pogo stick.
Not so much for me. I was better on the ball.
Yeah, it
Which
wasn't
Tam
as
has
fun.
a weird version of one over there somewhere.
The balance board.
Yes. Close to it, right? Somewhat. It's a
Hardly
cousin
as
of
fun.
it. Yeah.
Hardly as fun as the pogo ball.
Right. You can't bounce.
I can't believe they still don't make those or don't make those still.
People can hurt themselves.
So what?
Well,
they
that's
make
why I
BB
got
guns.
because I have a bad knee since a kid.
Yeah, but a pogo ball, like, I guess there's some sort of liability, maybe.
Maybe if it pops while you're pogoing,
There's
you might
liability
scrape
in
your
anything
knee.
You use.
Which mine didn't. Like, I just went to go use it one day, and there was no bounce.
It was always a very tiny little hole.
just
we would
enough
find it.
to know.
We'd find it by putting the hose on it and seeing
Yep.
where the bubbles came
The little
from.
bubble. Yep.
It was always very tiny, but it's unpatchable.
Yep.
So
Because
that's
you're
it.
always pushing pressure on it, and
I think the problem is things used to be affordable, and now shit's ridiculous. So no one's going to buy the second pogo ball because they're going to cost $39.99 anyway.
right.
And parents are going to be pissed as soon as you break one.
Because it's literally like a third size of a kickball
Yeah,
put in a little
plastic
Saturn-like sphere.
ringer. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. If you're listening and you don't know what a pogo ball is, you're clearly not 21.
You shouldn't be drinking.
What about you, Tam? Like, what was the first thing or best Santa gift?
It was always more musical.
So you got like
Whether it
CDs,
be-
8 tracks,
Well, good
cassettes. Oh,
Not so much. I mean, getting. It depends on what generation. But it's hard to say now because
no, stop. What was your, like,
in my day,
not in your day, what do you remember?
We had a ball in a cup.
What was one of your favorite Santa gifts or stocking gifts or however you
a
want to say it?
receiver or like a stereo.
Oh, so you
equipment,
got like a boombox kind of
right
thing?
or speakers, because you can't go by.
She's totally playing the PC card here, man.
I don't understand.
She's not giving a specific gift. I said pogo ball.
Bicycle. I don't know the brand, but let's say Huffy.
All right, it's either closed jewelry or a treadmill or like you're talking about a
Treadmill.
Wow.
If Santa
kid.
gave
When
a-
I was
If Santa gave a kid a treadmill,
Treadmill
I'd
was
punch Santa in
last
the
year, by
face.
the way.
Yeah.
All right, that's my 5. That's within the 5 years. But you're talking about when I was a kid.
I mean, when
Yes.
you really
Yes.
thought
As a
Santa,
kid, it
What
was
was one of
always
the-
more electronical. It
When
was
you
more
really
like the
believed
Santa brought
you that?
receiver, like CD
What was one of the
player.
like? What was one of the biggest memories that sticks out as far as a stocking gift?
a stock?
Like,
When I went to college, all I wanted was a nice
Wait,
stereo system.
Tammy, the thing that you really believed Santa Claus gave you.
yes, thank you, Matt.
If it wasn't my stereo gift, was it a dildo?
Did you?
I don't know.
Did you believe in Santa,
Santa
Claus
gave
in
you a
college?
dildo?
Maybe. Well,
Okay, let's jump ahead. When did you find out Santa wasn't real?
Oh wait, disclaimer: if you were listening to this in the car with your kids, I'm sorry.
You're a terrible parent. Also, you should know
and
this.
I'm the youngest of 4, so I learned kind of quicker.
I did too, but when did you? When exactly? How did you exactly find out
I
there was
don't
no Santa?
remember my age, but I remember.
When did
thinking,
the
like,
tears
this was
fall?
bullshit.
Santa's not
Because my siblings, I'm like, why aren't you excited? Because you know something different than I know.
Right. Okay. So
So you don't remember anything
But
Santa might have
for
given you
me,
that you
it
believed
was
in?
always the big gifts for Santa. Like my parents always got the small gifts, and Santa like did the stocking and like did
that's
the
how it
big
was for me
gifts.
too.
Right.
That's exactly
and so
how it was
for
for me
me,
too.
it's always was the more like.
Granted, my Santa
electronic
gifts were usually
devices.
smaller than my friends. which was hard to like not make an issue. Oh, you got a Nintendo for your Santa
Oh, we
gift?
totally got that kind of stuff.
I got a pogo ball.
I actually,
But that was the joint gift. So my parents.
There was no joint
we
Nintendos
always
in our
did.
house.
Santa and
So
parents would
our-
join
we-
together.
So we
Right,
would get,
that's when you know the suspicion's up.
Why is it?
No,
a
parents-
suspicion?
parents
That
can
was
Or
actually-
not
a
the
gift.
suspicion, but like if you are on that borderline listening in the car because nobody does, and
Like
you're
I'm
11
the
years
fourth
old
kid,
or whatever,
so I
and
might
you haven't been
like
told.
a CD versus a, I don't know, whatever electronics my kid or my brothers had or sister had. But as a joint gift, we might get like a CD player, and we would rent movies.
So are you telling me your parents never addressed Santa at all?
That's such a boomer tactic.
Because that's kind of what I'm getting at here.
That's kind of where my parents must
Like there
have
were some
fallen.
stockings and whatnot, and you got gifts, but Santa was not a part of the equation. Is that what you're telling
Santa
me?
equation? Cause
How is Santa a part of the equation?
we would go upstairs New Year's Eve at a certain time.
New Year's?
We'd come down, or Christmas Eve. Oh my God. I might be 5 years in.
That's okay.
I haven't eaten today.
I got a pour before, but anyway.
But we would peek
How
down.
did Santa play a part?
We would go Christmas Eve, do whatever. We'd go to bed early. We'd come down early, and we would peek down, and we weren't to wake our parents up until, like, whatever, 5 or 4.
Well, that's pretty good. I was going to say your parents are jerks, but 4:00.
Oh, it might have been.
If they got up at 4:00 for you,
No
damn
shit.
no,
They had
they
like
were
3
bad
hours worth of
parents.
sleep if that's
Yeah.
the case.
My parents would never get up, so we would get up early.
Oh, okay. That's smart on the parents because they had been to bed for like 2 hours. Then like
Yeah.
they can go look at it now.
Never. And so we would get up and try to get like our presents, and they were like, no, 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 no. And then they would let us get our stockings at a certain time, and then they would get up and do cinnamon rolls and a breakfast, and we wouldn't do Christmas until after that. But we would get our stockings early, which had good shit, not the best shit.
So, what was the best stocking gift that you can remember?
Stocking gift?
Yes.
That dildo. You can fit several of them into one stocking.
All right. Dildos
Apparently.
didn't happen till probably I bought them.
So you are Santa Claus. Big
I'm my
revelation.
own
Breaking
Santa.
news.
I'm my own fucking Santa.
You are fucking Santa, and it's
But
you.
as a kid, my stocking stuff, they would buy me, but it would show my age. Oh my God.
Oh, come
All
on.
right, stocking stuffers.
I already made the
for
wooden
me
cup and ball
would
joke.
be like Avon shit.
Okay, that's not that old.
And I'm worried about talking
and
about a
like
pogo
Duran
ball.
Duran shit. Like magazines.
My first
and, like,
tape was a Duran Duran. No,
Okay.
better off.
So
Dead or
like
alive.
my stocking would be like they
But
would
Duran
always
Duran
give
Duran
us
were the
socks,
same.
underwear, your basic shit, and
Mine
then
was
like
Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Avon stuff for us girls, and like Duran Duran stuff.
So you put the Duran Duran with the dildo, and
Matt is not letting go of this dildo bit.
what age were you when you bought your own dildo? What age can you buy your own dildo? Is that a 16 and over thing or an 18?
Did it have a
and
I
over
don't
thing?
Christmas
think there's an
hat?
age for that.
Can you go into the adult store at
18.
18? Is it?
Teen.
Pretty sure it's 18.
It should be 18.
I don't really want to get Sora on the phone.
It
for this
should
one.
be 16, but it should be 18 because
I was
16
just gonna say it should be 16 because
in the name
that's
of
when you're
in the
trying
name
to
of
find your shit
abstinence.
out.
Yeah, you should.
That's where you guys were talking about fucking pillows and stuff.
You should definitely in order to
Couches?
stop 16-year-old sex from happening, you should allow 16-year-old girls
Like a
dildos.
pocket pussy, something like.
Because that's where we go on every episode.
Because this is Christmas.
Maybe we should advocate the pocket pussy.
Maybe they'll sponsor us. So
That's kind of funny because that's so true.
I wish there were more toys for men.
Pocket Pussy sponsoring us?
No, there's a lot of toys for men.
Well, Santa ain't brought me none of them.
I would say. I would say, well, when you're a kid, you're probably not going to get them unless your parents are into that.
Unless I took it out of the top drawer.
Or that. That's funny, too. But there's so many
Under the
toys
socks
out
near the
there,
back.
When it's a mutual, there's a lot. And then there's signature.
So, when I learned there was no Santa Claus, I was probably about 5, which is super young because my sister sucks.
How old is she compared to you?
She's 4 years older, so she would have been like 9. But our tradition was to go to my grandparents for Christmas Eve, my aunt and uncle's for Christmas Day. So we would always do the same thing. My dad would tell us to get in the car and he would warm it up. He'd start the engine and warm up the Blazer. And then he and my mom always had to go and get the family gifts from the house. Well, my sister she got out of the car and walked in on them in the house because she suspected that they used that time to actually set out the presents from Santa, because our tradition was to open on Christmas Eve. So I'd be sitting in the car with my brother and my sister would walk in. She walked in on my parents setting out the presents. Then she came back and said, "I knew it. Mom and Dad are Santa. They're putting out the presents right now." And I'm a 5-year-old like, fuck! And sure enough, we go to my grandparents, have chili, clam chowder, and Tom and Jerry's, and then come home and all of our presents are sitting out from Santa Claus. I think that was my dad's thing. He was a big kid, so he wanted to open all the presents on Christmas Eve. So we'd get home and Santa had already been there. But for all my cousins, it was Christmas morning. So I would stay up as late as I could playing with my toys and then wake up on the floor in a bunch of wrapping paper like Randy in Christmas Story. That was the reality. I never made it to bed on Christmas night. And my dad was like, "Stay up all you want," and he knew we would just crash. So that was the end of Santa for me. My sister in about first grade telling me there was no Santa. How about you, Brendan?
It was the other way around because I was the oldest, so I had a little sit
I
down.
think the oldest is way different than the youngest.
And
You have a
it
responsibility, though.
Yeah.
Well, and that was kind of it. It was a little bit of like, so we don't want you to find out from your friends because you're getting to about that age. But Santa gets his help from Grandma and us. Mm-hmm. Because growing up, we also knew that Grandma, when she was generous, it was around Christmas time. And Grandma was the heir of Keebler. So
Lots
generosity
of cookies. Did you get
sometimes.
the EL fudge? Those were my
I
favorites.
grew up on the stripes.
EL fudge was my favorite.
Me too. Apparently, and I shit you not, man, you got to see pictures of the guy who owned this company before he sold it to Keebler. He kind of looked like the Keebler elf.
Like Ernie?
Like
Ernie the head elf?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
His name was Ed. And he looked a lot. I mean, dude, minus the elf ears, but he was a short little bald guy, and I would have never known growing up that was the dude who gave me the cookies that I still to this day like. No, I want the EL fudges and the striped cookies. Like I'm Keebler. Even though that
Brendan Keebler. How you doing?
even though like that's not my dad's dad, that was the stepdad. That was after, because my dad's dad was a POW vet, and he passed before all that. But anyway, Grandma had a lot to do with Christmases. And so that's kind of what they sat me down and said was Grandma and parents are the reason you get these presents. Now, your brothers don't really know this yet, and we need you to keep it quiet for at least this year. And then the next year happened because I have two younger brothers. And I think it was kind of like, you'll know when you don't have to talk about it anymore. And we never did. It was just kind of one of those things where we just accepted that Christmas Eve and stocking presents were the big presents, as kind of like Tammy said earlier, like, these were the big presents. That's kind of how they turned the angle to us. I think I was putting an age on it. I would say right about 12, 13,
Okay.
kind of like like junior high-ish, early junior high, I think. Because I do know that my parents worried about my friends, and I think that they talked about it with my friends' parents, kind of like, hey, have you had that talk with, and which honestly, I mean, I don't know about you, man, and I've been kind of the weekend parent with both of my kids, so I've never really had to have those conversations with other friends' parents' mom or other friends of theirs' parents of like, have you had this talk with them? Have you had this talk with them? Because I'm sure that it's happened for my daughter's mom and probably my son's mom too, but I haven't been a part of those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Yes. Well, when my son. First of all, to back up, like Tammy said, Santa got credit for the big ticket items, and I was always resentful of that.
Mm-hmm.
So got to a point when he was maybe 5 where I thought that fat bastard can get what he's due, but I work my ass off to buy the good present. So I started giving him the best present from mom and dad and the second best present from Santa. And then in the days that would follow Christmas, you would ask him, someone would ask him, probably his grandparents, what did you get from Santa? And he would always say his favorite thing was the thing I got him, but he would assign it to Santa. And I would say, Santa didn't get you that. I got you that. And he would say, no, that was probably Santa. So that son of a bitch stole all the thunder from me.
Even when you didn't even want it to.
Yeah, even when I tried to sabotage Santa Claus, he always, in the memory, came up as the big ticket gift. But I made my peace with that, and fast forwarding to about the age of 9, my parents had given him a thing when he was really young. It was a book about the North Pole with a magic pen. And the thing about the pen is it was a wood-carved pen, and it was shaped like Santa, and it had a storybook with it that said, it's a magic pen. If you write your wish list with this pen, it will magically appear on Santa's list up in the North Pole. So at 9 years old, my son wrote a Christmas list that he gave to me, and then he wrote a secret Christmas list that he wrote with the magic pen. And he took that note and he hid it in his room somewhere. And when he only received the presents that were on my list that he got me, and none of the things that he put on the magic pen list, he figured out that Santa didn't exist.
He figured it out on his own.
I tell him to this very day how proud I am that he used science, the scientific method, to figure out there was no Santa Claus.
Me too, man.
But once he had achieved that and he came to terms with that, I told him, okay, now that you know the secret, you're part of the magic. Because I'd always told him that I work for Santa. All parents do.
Yeah.
So we have a special trust not to ruin the magic for any little kids. And so he's kind of a part of that tradition now.
That's awesome, man.
So that's kind of how I broached the subject. But I was so proud of the way he found out
Me
that there
too.
was no Santa. And I tell him to this day,
relation. That's awesome.
to this day, he's almost 13. I'm like, that was amazing how you did that.
Yeah.
It's so imaginative. So
and self-aware.
very proud. Very proud.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel bad for any kids that are listening to us now.
There are no kids listening to this podcast.
I was just about to say that.
We've
too,
talked about
except I'm like,
dildos.
there's no way.
Twice we've talked about dildos.
we purposely bring it up just to make sure that there are no kids listening.
Please put in
Likes
the
on dildos.
when you hit
I'm
the
like, was it
explicit on the
twice?
episode description, also put don't listen with your kids. Not
Yes.
that you would, but please.
Battery
will be-
advised.
Yeah, no. When I put the description up for this episode, I'll just be like, "Yo, we talk Christmas and all things that are, things you don't want your
Remind me
kids to
of-
Let's
listen."
just say Tammy is often full of the Christmas spirit.
Did you ever see, what is that, the movie we just watched the other night and I loved it, The Watch? Is it The Watch?
Yeah. The Ben Stiller
It's a
one.
stupid movie. It's It's Ben Stiller. I'm not saying he's good or bad. He's not.
I
my,
used to. Oh, we
he's
could do
not
a
my
whole.
favorite person to go to watch.
We can do a whole episode on Ben Stiller, so I won't say a
We
word.
probably could actually.
But this movie is like it was like the one they was alien based, and they're coming into
The
us.
guy from the IT crowd. and
Oh yes,
Vince
Neighborhood
Vaughn.
Watch.
Yes, Neighborhood
I
Watch.
love Vince.
yes.
Yeah.
Vaughn. Now Vince Vaughn.
Well, I
is a
love
whole
Richard
nother story, but
Ayoade.
Ben Stiller's whatever.
I've been watching the IT crowd over again.
Oh my god! So they go to the store, and this guy has all this like a bucket full of batteries, and like, oh, he's like the demon.
Solve the battery shortage.
And then being like a sex show, I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, he's just pleasuring
With what?
batteries and devices.
Yep, back to dildos again. This was not a Christmas or holiday episode.
If you put a bow on it, it's a Christmas
It
dildo.
totally is. It's the watch, right?
Oh yeah, the watch. Yeah, because Neighborhood Watch
Yeah.
was like
Yes,
copyrighted.
maybe,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there was a problem with the title. I remember because it was Neighborhood Watch, I think, but it was copyrighted. No, Trayvon Martin happened at the same time, so they wanted to distance themselves from that.
Oh.
So they changed the title to The Watch.
Wow.
And then I think nobody knew what the hell the movie was about.
I thought it was funny because it had Ben Stiller. I like.
Okay. Speaking of movies, and this is always a discussion and something that comes up every holiday, and maybe this will be a good way for us to have our last conversation about holidays before we spend the bottle and move on. But is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Matt?
I've only seen it once, and I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
care then.
I'm not saying whether you care or not, but they play it around Christmas.
I mean, but
therefore they're
not
making
just
it a
not
Christmas
just one,
movie.
but the question becomes: is Die Hard as a series is it Christmas? Because
No.
you have two movies for sure that took place over Christmas. The first two, but
There's a Christmas.
Matt
party
was
they
quick to
got.
say no because
As a series, no. And I've not seen the series. I only saw part 2
which
once
was
as a
here.
kid. Yeah.
They always make it
I
around
barely
Christmas
remember it.
time. They film it.
I think they feed into this whole discussion.
I think you're right. It's
And
borderline.
I think I'm going to say no just because my son would adamantly say yes.
I think yes. Because
And
they're
rebellion
gonna
works both
whether
ways.
we agree to it or not, they're making it one. I watch Die Hard more than I watch Home Alone,
I've only
which is
seen
based on Christmas.
Okay,
I watched
on
Die Hard.
that matter. I can't argue that because I'm with you. And the thing is out of all the Christmas movies that I would see on my list, ones that I will stop and watch, Die Hard is in that list.
I think you get older and you like action. For
National
me,
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. If I see that on,
oh, Christmas
I almost
Vacation is the best.
always will flip to that. Like there's
Who doesn't quote the shitter's full?
exactly
there's an ugly sweater that says it.
that I would
Sure
wear
as
the
well.
shit. I would wear the shit out of that. Christmas week, usually 2 to 3 days before the day of Christmas, if Christmas Story is on.
I kind of got burned out on that one.
That's
because
why
what
I
is it?
shortened
Yeah,
the
I
time
Like
agree.
span.
TNT started showing it 24 hours a
That
day.
yeah, see, that's too
and
much.
in the early 2000s, and I literally got burned out on it.
Right.
I know the movie well enough that I don't have to watch it ever again.
Yeah.
Same. I feel
And I
the
can
same
still
way.
like, oh, that's a great moment, and I don't have to watch that moment. I can see Santa kicking him down the slide
Oh,
Now,
anytime I want to.
no, on my list, top 3, and people
a miracle?
no. A Harold and Kumar Christmas.
That's
I haven't seen that one.
I don't
it's
know.
so funny.
There's probably some people out there are going to be like, what the fuck? And just list a whole bunch of shit that I'm not thinking of or I didn't think of or it didn't come. But honestly, if it didn't pop up, it's because I didn't care for it like I did this. And that movie, I feel like, is underrated and is a holiday movie because it is a Christmas movie.
it is Christmas.
And it's I think the only what its problem was it came out right at like the height of like the 3D theater shit when they really had us like
Was it in 3D?
It
well
is.
there are
They
certain
tried to.
yeah there are 3D versions available, and there are certain scenes where you could totally tell, like with the Neil Patrick Harris Broadway scene where he shoots shit out of his cane, and you could totally tell they were
Oh, his maple syrup.
yeah,
all that
and there
stuff.
was certain stuff where you know they were trying to play to the 3D crowd, which doesn't. I don't know if they were trying to think that people have 3D DVD players at home.
Well, they were expecting people to buy 3D TVs, and that it was a whole
It's still
industry
funny
that just
regardless.
didn't come
Yeah.
off. I think
But
Doug Benson did a great job of killing it because he in his podcast said 3D movies are not that great and not worth the money.
no,
And he was right. They never really took
absolutely
off.
right.
I don't
Well,
think
when
we've
it comes
ever
to Doug
paid for
Benson in
3D.
movies, he's not really wrong.
Yeah, and well, with my son, I kind of say the same thing. I'm like, there was a time you're into VR, but it makes me dizzy. And he played a game recently that made him dizzy. And I'm like, there was a time when everyone thought 3D TV was going to be the big thing, and nobody wanted it. And maybe VR is going to go that way. I don't know, but it's possible. So he went from being like a diehard VR advocate to I kind of get dizzy too sometimes. Because I think he tried to play Minecraft, which is not a VR game, but you can see it like in surround. But it makes you dizzy, and I always tell him I can't do that. I can't. Makes me seasick.
That's been my worry for why I haven't picked up the VR set for our PlayStations, because we have a couple games that are VR like the
Yeah.
Star Wars, the Squadrons was. But I also go back to when I went back to Universal. I don't do the rides in 3D. I'll do the rides, but I don't wear the goggles.
Yeah.
I see the blur. I would rather see the blur than to put the glasses on and try and see it in 3D. My eyes and the way my shit works, my equilibrium or whatever it is, it doesn't allow me to wear the 3D goggles
I don't think it's good
and
for anyone.
physically. So I worry about buying the VR for my setup.
Yeah. Do you remember like 1987 or something when there was a Nightmare on Elm Street that was
Oh.
partially in 3D? It
I
was just the
do-
very end, and it was like Freddy's dead or something. But there's a moment in the movie
yeah,
where you
I think
were
you're
told,
right.
put on your glasses now. It's not the whole movie.
I didn't see that one.
But I was in 5th grade, and I remember my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Lee, telling us when I was a kid, they had 3D movies, and it never took off. And this one that's out now, like, it's only the end because if you watch a whole movie in 3D, you're going to get sick. And it's like literally that movie was only the very end, and it would say, put on your glasses when this main character puts on her goggles. So you would do that, and like the last 6 minutes was in 3D, and that was plenty. Because any more than that, and you would have gotten sick.
I forgot all about it, and I still can't really recall much, but I remember you saying, like, as
Freddy
you
Krueger
telling
like
this,
explodes at some point,
I do,
and it's like
and
I
it-
didn't see
demon souls come like flying at you. But then if you watch it without 3D, like you would on TV, because we
it's
would,
just
well,
that. Well, I saw a lot
it gets
of that.
stupid because we rented it later at home at a sleepover, and it's like, oh, remember that we loved this in the movie theater. So you would see that they would like, you wouldn't get the goggles or glasses, but they would just like point at the camera for no reason at all. And you're like, that's stupid, but that's just for the 3D audience. And so everything they filmed was based on you wearing those glasses that you don't have any interest in wearing. And it just never took off in the 80s. It didn't take off in the 50s when my teacher would have watched it. It didn't take off in the 2000s.
it's one of those
It's
things.
not
where
going to happen.
I wonder if it has to become accustomed to.
Your brain
have to adapt.
doesn't want it.
We have to adapt to that kind of technology to be able. But you're right. Our brains and our ocular shit science that we don't know is not allowing us to fully accept it for a long period
The
of time.
2010 World Cup was in 3D. I went to a bar for my job, that had 3D televisions, and he gave me a pair of 3D glasses to wear to look at it. The owner, and he was super possessive because they're very expensive glasses. And I looked at it and I'm like, "Oh, hey, cool!" And I took them off and gave them to him back. And he like put them into a case because they were so expensive. But in 2010, the World Cup couldn't sell 3D
So
to the world.
It's cheaper to film in 3D
Is it?
than it is to view it. No, it I mean, it has to be
yes.
because I mean, think about
You had to put down a deposit. Like I
'Cause-
was there for work. He gave me the glasses to try, but you, as a patron, would have to put down a deposit because they're very expensive glasses at the time. And if you broke them, you'd be on the hook for $300.
Think about it. There's movies that are being re-released or remastered in high definition because they filmed it in high definition. They just didn't release it in high definition.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability is there. They're doing it. It's not costing them any extra, or if it is, we're not being forced to pay it. It's only when they distribute it or distribute
Distribute it.
Yeah.
it, 4 or 5 beers in, and
Distribute it.
distribute it, that they change the scenario because that's where I would chalk it down to business and money. And that could be part of the whole ordeal because
Well, yeah.
until 3D or 4D or whatever can fully catch on,
I don't see 4D happening either. Not in the home market because
it can't because
who wants to install like water drip
Thank you.
systems in your ceiling?
because I was just going to get to that. Like I overshot myself on the 4D comment because now that I think about it, I've had 4D experience twice.
Mhm. Once for
both
me.
were at Universal
SeaWorld
SeaWorld,
for me. Yeah.
which is still Universal owned. But
Is it? Oh, okay.
yes, the Jimmy Fallon experience,
Uh-huh.
which used to be the Twister scenario at Universal, is 4D, and the Shrek experience, which is also like 100 yards away,
Mm-hmm.
4D. And you could almost go 5D with the Shrek one because they also kind of introduce a little fart spouter where you're kind of like, ooh, rough. I just stood in line for an hour and a half to smell that. Thank you very much.
Let's not get started on smell-o-vision because that ain't gonna happen either.
Oof. I could have done with a little bit of mist in my face, but you had a little bit of stinky mist. That's one wet fart that I really wasn't expecting. Thank you very much. I'll never go back on this little experience again.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've completely derailed from Christmas, but I guess that's what happens when
I guess
holidays.
that's the point of the show is to just go off on a discussion.
and hope that one of us keeps us there. You need a refill. Anyway, do we want to spin or do we have any other kind of
Well, I would just say as far as favorite movies go,
Christmas movies, holiday movies, or
Yeah,
whatever?
Christmas movies go. A modern classic, which my son and I love and watch every year, which nobody else seems to have seen, is Daddy's Home 2.
No,
because it's got Mel Gibson in it. That turns a lot of people off.
Of Daddy's Home, the
Daddy's
first
Home
one.
1 is not a Christmas movie, but Daddy's Home 2 is.
Okay.
And it is goddamn genius.
Really?
And everybody kind of balks when I say Mel
You mentioned
Gibson.
him earlier, yeah.
Mel Gibson's in it. And everyone's like, oh, but he was already canceled at that point. But no, he plays an asshole. He plays a complete prick, and he does it really well. But it is such a fun Christmas movie. It is the only movie we watch every single year. So a modern classic, rivaling Christmas Vacation. Because we don't watch for Christmas Vacation every year either. And Scrooged is another one of my favorites.
Okay.
We don't watch that every year either, but every year we watch Daddy's Home 2. It is a classic.
Interesting. Okay. Haven't seen it, so I can't,
I recommend it to everyone, and
No,
nobody will ever watch it because of Mel Gibson. But no,
I'll
he
watch
plays
it.
an
It doesn't bother
asshole.
me.
He plays an asshole. He's the asshole you want him to be.
Okay, so it reminds me of when Tom Cruise played the kind of asshole producer in Tropic Thunder.
Maybe, but Tom Cruise is not technically canceled. He's just weird for Scientology. Mel Gibson is canceled because
Yeah,
of
okay.
anti-Semitism,
Yeah, I get you there.
and yet he plays such a despicable person that you actually love him for it. Like, he delights in everybody's misfortune. He's such an asshole. But he's the only
man.
one who could play that character. It's got John Cena. It's got
So would you say that's the
Mark
beginning of John
Wahlberg.
Cena's career? Because
I
when
think
did
it's
when
the
did his
beginning
like
and
movie
end.
career begin?
John Cena has zero personality.
Right. Well, that's because he's like what they want to be, The Rock. They
Well,
wanted to be the new Rock, like a wrestler that is
John Cena could be a
kinda-
whole other episode. I'm a big fan of John
Okay.
Cena
All right.
because as a wrestler, he is trained as an actor.
right.
And he's actually, if you listen to any interview with John Cena, he is a very intelligent individual.
I'm not okay.
But
I don't
as
know
an-
enough to say yes or no. I'm just.
and
I
I'm
don't
sure
think he's a Rock, but
I consider myself a
what-
pretty intelligent person. I don't think I'd be a good actor. I've never tried,
I want to.
but I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. So I'm a big fan of John Cena as a human. But I mean, in the character he plays, he's well within his limitations. But yeah, he's not The Rock, and he'll never be The Rock.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
But I really do love John Cena as a human being. He is such an intelligent
Have you
human
seen
being.
Bumblebee?
No.
He was.
Was he
That
good?
was yeah. He was
Okay.
decent in that one.
Because
and
I've
it's a
only seen him
good-
in Daddy's Home too.
and it's a good movie.
I missed what
so
we're talking about, but I heard John Cena.
Daddy's
and-
Home 2
and
is
Daddy's
the
Home
modern
2 is-
classic favorite Christmas movie.
That's his Christmas choice movie because that's how I was gonna end it on what would be your Christmas choice movie.
Well, John Cena was, I agree, in
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. But Christmas movie
I've gotta
to
see that.
me
I can make that happen.
is actually, it's not even a Christmas. A Year Without a Santa Claus. I guess it is a Christmas movie.
A Year Without a Santa Claus? Never heard of it.
It's the one with
Really?
Heat Miser and oh wow,
Is it an old one?
yeah,
cartoon.
it's like a 19. Hold up.
While you look that up, I'll also throw out that we discovered Riff Tracks' Santa and Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny we discovered last year. And we just watched that again last week. And it's a classic in our house. But the Riff Tracks version of Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny,
This one should be
one of the most
Year-
insane movies
right
ever
up
made.
with Rudolph
Wow,
and
okay.
like Frosty.
Have to
I don't
look that up.
understand why it's not
Well, what?
A Year Without a Santa Claus.
A Year Without a Santa Claus, 1974.
Right. Why isn't it with like Rudolph and shit?
It was just on the other night too.
Right. Rudolph isn't like
Last night.
1990s.
Well, it depends on your version of Rudolph too. But this was based on a book written in 1956. So that whole bit is pretty old school.
So is. All right. What year is?
But when I just sat there and gave out my top 3 Christmas movies, and one included a very Harold and Kumar Christmas, and his included Daddy's Home too. We're talking a bit more recent.
Well, I'm
Not
just
to
saying modern
like say that
classic.
these aren't like we also mentioned the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
And
Frosty
Scrooged.
was on the other
Scrooged
night.
is also a
Scrooged
classic.
is a good one. Old school Scrooge. They've done a lot of. They've tried.
Well, Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Yes, they've tried many times to do a different one, and Jim Carrey's had a hand
we haven't
in
seen that one yet.
The Grinches. Oh, you're thinking of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, The Grinch
Well,
was
we
fun
just-
when Aiden was little,
we
but
just bought
not so much now.
Jim Carrey one. We haven't
A
seen it.
Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey.
A Muppets Christmas with,
Ooh, A Muppet's Christmas was good. I
With
forgot
Michael
all
Caine.
about that. Yeah.
but you know what? They cut out the whole song where he lost the girl,
no.
which is like the thing that made Scrooge. So I can't watch it anymore. I don't know why. Music rights, I assume, but that whole scene was cut out the last time we watched it, and I couldn't stand it.
Holy
like,
shit! I never
This
paid
is what
attention.
made Scrooge
You
pick
can't-
business over love.
You know what movie I love and you're gonna not stand it probably is it A Wonderful Life?
Oh, we just watched that this year for the first
No,
time.
there's two of them though. There's an old
I don't
one.
think so.
No,
Well, It's a Wonderful Life is from 1940,
right.
seven.
There's a new one.
Not familiar with that.
That little girl, she's adorable.
A Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes.
Thank you.
West Virginia.
I'm just kind of like, what?
Miracle on 34th Street's not a new movie either, unless it was remade.
No.
No, well, it had been remade a bunch of
in
different
the
times. But if you're
80s or
talking about the
90s.
original,
The
right?
little girl, she's
It's in color, but it's been
adorable.
around my whole life, I think.
Oh, never thought. Oh, it is my phone. I think it's a Miracle on 34th Street.
I don't think I've seen that, but you remember Dudley
There's
Moore's?
two of them.
You remember Dudley
There's an
Moore's
old
the elf?
school one, and there's a Dermot.
Hey, was it
No, the
Trading
Santa Claus.
Places a Christmas one?
Well,
I don't know. I can't remember if it was
based on
Christmas
the
time or
winter
not.
time, not so much Christmas.
It's definitely
Well, they
winter,
have-
but I don't remember Christmas if it was Christmas or not.
I'm just twisting it up a little bit because Tam can't quite figure out her top three
That's
right
a
now.
Christmas movie. It's not.
It's not what? Getting distracted?
technology.
No, I know. My phone beeped. Or my watch.
Still need to focus on the podcast.
Right? We're important.
But that was around the holiday time where Eddie Murphy was pretending to be, and like that was an awesome movie. And I would say that was a Christmas kind of thing because it was around that time.
Just popped in my head.
That's
Just-
a good one.
I
Actually.
remember. I don't.
Ghostbusters?
No, that's not Christmas.
I don't know about that.
Somewhat.
That probably spanned a whole year, but I don't really know.
Might have been. I feel like there was something Christmas related, but I'm just reaching here. I think there was even an Alf Christmas that's in my memory.
Probably, definitely an Elf Christmas.
I mean, I vaguely remember the Star Wars Christmas special.
I never watched that whole thing, but I've heard podcasts about how crazy awful
Exactly.
it was.
Never watched the whole thing. I just
No
vaguely
interest.
remember.
I'm not even interested in good Star Wars stuff,
Well,
so watching bad Star Wars stuff just seems like it'd be lost on me.
What the best, like, as far as like sitcom special stuff, like Boston Legal did a couple different shows, but Dick in a Box, Saturday Night Live.
You have that right on the shelf above your head.
Oh shit! I do have Dick in a Boxes.
Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah.
Classic.
And that was probably like holidays were good back then, and we're saying
Wow.
back then, but that wasn't too long ago. But
Yeah, that was early Barack Obama date. No,
that kind of yeah,
I think it was.
It was
It was the good times again. Like
exactly.
we were
It kind of felt
happy
like
again.
good times. Yeah.
We thought we were a good country again.
Good times. We're good. Yeah.
We're not a horrible country.
We're not. Yeah.
We're progressive.
We're not
and
hated by the
liberal
rest of
and
the world because we're disease ridden
Yeah.
and
intolerant.
intoxicated.
Intolerant.
How you doing over there, Tam?
A Miracle on 34th Street
Which is what I said.
is $2 more expensive for the original versus the.
There was probably a Lindsay Lohan remake or something, right?
No, it was that cute little girl. Is
Oh, so not Lindsay Lohan.
no.
Because she got
She's
red
Love
hair.
Bug.
She was Herbie and the Parent Trap.
Yeah, the Parent Trap was her first kind of like.
The girl that's new.
New
This
as in
lady, man.
2004.
Right?
What
Yeah.
are we talking
New
about?
is in
She's like 38 now.
almost our age, but we didn't know it. We're carrying.
Well, she
you
does
here.
that. Me and Aiden watched for the first time ever It's a Wonderful Life, and then immediately followed that with the It's a Bundyful Christmas, Married with Children,
1947.
with Sam Kinison. Classic.
Aw.
One of the best Christmas episodes, two-parters, parodies, all kinds of categories. But that's a classic sitcom episode.
It's. I gotta watch it.
It's on Hulu.
Okay.
It's a Bundyful Christmas.
We're getting loose. All right, Tam, let's wrap this stuff up. We're at an hour and a half in.
1947 is the old one. And the new one was more obviously frequent. But they're cheaper.
Yeah, people are going to start aging this episode like that, too. All right, top 3 Christmas movies, Mama, and then we're going to spin.
Fuck. I'm not going to be traditional because I actually.
If it
like
had
the-
Christmas in it and it reminds you of Christmas,
I'm actually with the Die Hard, and it's not because it's not like about Santa. They were at a holiday party. Shit happened.
that's what I'm
Whatever.
saying. Things that remind
But
you
I
of Christmas.
do like 34, but I like the newer version.
Okay.
I think that little girl is adorable, and I'm gonna adopt her, even though she's probably younger than me at this.
But she's richer than you too.
Oh, I should adopt her now.
She should adopt us.
I'm like,
Okay.
Adopt us.
All right.
Spin time.
Let's spin it up.
Spinning the bottle.
Although Year Without a Santa Claus is probably my favorite.
Took us 30 minutes to get there, but yeah.
Oh, it's me again. There is a group of people that fascinate me beyond most groups of people. And that is the group of people that are real life superheroes. And that is the topic of the next show. People who are trying to be real life superheroes.
Unsung?
No. Are you talking about like trying to be real Batmans and shit?
Yes. If you Google people, and New York's got most of them, there are people who dress in costumes and try to anticipate crime and then fight it every day. And vigilante justice style.
Like the Flash?
And that is the group of people that I want to talk about next. It will require some research on all of our parts. But real life wannabe superheroes is the next topic.
I can drink a beer while doing some research.
Well, that's right up my... That's like the Flash and shit.
Yeah, I think he's talking about more than TV shows, but okay.
No, that's where people want to be superheroes
Yeah.
taken from that.
Well,
That's what I'm
suffice
saying.
it to say that the police are not thrilled
Right.
that these
And
people
to vid-
exist.
Right.
Right? They kind of fuck with the program. All right. Cool. I like that. Who's going to be a superhero?